We got to stop giving tax cuts to the very wealthiest Americans and start giving tax cuts to working middle-class families. What I have proposed is that we give tax breaks to help families save. People are having a terrible time saving. To help them send their kids to school, to make sure that they can pay for child care. And by the way, some of you may have seen this story, but it tells you how messed up our tax system is. You know who the Forbes 400 are? The richest 400 people in America? Well, Warren Buffett. You all heard of Warren Buffett? Warren Buffett issued a challenge. And his challenge was to the Forbes 400, which are, I believe they're all billionaires, so they all have more money than you can imagine. But here was his challenge. He would give $1 million in cash to any one of the Forbes 400 who could prove that they were paying a higher tax rate than their secretary. Think about that. Nobody took him up on it. Now, something is wrong when the 400 richest people in America are paying a lower tax rate than their secretary is paying. One of the reasons for it is most of their money is invested. So what they're taxed at is capital gains rates. And capital gains rates are a flat 15%. And the result is the people who are working for a living, like their secretary, are paying a higher tax rate. When are we going to actually start valuing work in America again instead of just wealth? Because that's exactly what's happening today. And the last thing I want to say is, you know, I'm proud of the fact that I have, in the entire time I've been in public life, never taken a dime from a Washington lobbyist or a special interest PAC. The entire time I've been in public life. And I think it is important to be independent of those people so that your president is standing up for you, not standing up for them. You know, the moneyed, entrenched interests in Washington, their voice is heard with a megaphone. They are loud. They have extraordinary control over your democracy, and you need a president who will stand up for you. President Harry Truman used to say, the American people don't have a lobbyist. Their lobbyist is the President of the United States. And that's exactly what you need. Somebody who will fight for you, somebody who understands the struggles of the middle class, somebody who takes the fight personally so that when the going gets tough, they will never walk away from it, and somebody who does understand that these entrenched moneyed interests are not going away without a fight. Drug companies, insurance companies, oil companies. I mean, drug companies, insurance companies are the reason we don't have universal health care. The reason we haven't done anything about global warming, oil companies and power companies and gas companies. It's that simple. The trade policy and tax policy in America has been established by these big multinational corporations. We need to create real opportunity for every single American, for working people, for low-income families, for middle-class families. That's what this election is about. And it's about having somebody who will stand up for you. And one last thing. You know, I worry about what I see happening in America, but look at what's going on in Iraq. The first year that I'm President of the United States, I will end this mess of a war in Iraq. But I watch what's happening, and while our men and women in uniform are serving patriotically in Iraq, we have a bunch of paid mercenaries roaming around over there working for Blackwater and these private contractors. They're making 10 times what our men and women in uniform are making. We got Halliburton, Cheney's old company, getting billion-dollar no-bid contracts in Iraq. Getting rich on this war. This war needs to be brought to an end. Now, here's the last thing I want to say, and then I'm going to take questions from you. You know, I look at America today, and this is the picture I see. Some of you have heard me talk about two Americas and the need to create one America. This is the picture I see today. You got ExxonMobil. ExxonMobil made $40 billion last year. Highest profits ever. $40 billion in 1 year. The CEO of one of the largest health insurance companies in America made $200 million last year. In 1 year, $200 million to one man. Take that picture and you put it side by side with this picture. That tomorrow, 47 million Americans will wake up knowing that if their child gets sick, they're going to have to go to the emergency room and beg for health care because they have no health care coverage. I met a guy a few months ago. His name is James Lowe, 51 years old, 3 years younger than me. And he told me the story of having been born with a cleft palate, and because he had a cleft palate, he couldn't talk. He said a simple operation would have fixed it. But James had no health care coverage, so he couldn't pay for it. Finally, some health care provider voluntarily fixed it for it, without compensation, fixed him for it, fixed his cleft palate. And now he can speak. Here's the problem. They fixed it when he was 50 years old. James lived for 50 years in America not able to speak because he had no health care coverage. And I thought to myself, how long are we going to let the drug companies and insurance companies run this country? I mean, when are we going to actually give voice to 47 million people who have no coverage, to James Lowe and people like him who have struggled and suffered in this country?